Man, I listen to Christmas music to get into the vibe of this episode.
We deserve a Christmas party.
Lo-Fi Christmas on Spotify if you're interested. Hey everybody, I'm Chris and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office, and today we have our final Christmas episode of the series in Dwight Christmas, which means this is a Christmas field guide. We have angsty nerves, die-hard Christmas debate, obscure folklore, cancel-worthy moments, and a lot more to talk about in today's field guide, so let's go.
I understand nothing.
Okay, by the way, you may be seeing more of me in this field guide than what you've become accustomed to, and that's because
YouTube is being a little bitch again.
Sorry to the giant mega corporation that's screwing my little channel over again and again and again. They've been giving me the runaround for the last several uploads, so we're going to have a mixture of me and some stills and then clips. As you know, we try to use clips as much or as little as what we want, so we'll figure it out. I've been doing this series now for like 5 years, and it's weird that they're just now giving me consistent issues on these uploads. Come on, YouTube. I only have like 14 of these Office field guides left.
Why are you the way that you are?
Okay, Dwight's Christmas is the only episode in season 9 to not have a cold opening. I'm not really sure why that is, but we drop straight into the story with Jim's anxiety surfacing over his impending first day at the office happening the following day. To get ahead of all that, he's going to go to Philly early to get himself established and grounded for the first day of his big boy job.
Check into the hotel about 6 so I can get a real good night of restless sleep, nervous puking.
I really do relate with Jim's logic here. It doesn't make any sense, but like, it does.
It's better to be pre-prepared.
The office staff, though, they realized that today was actually the day that they planned for their holiday party.
I mean, it says Xmas party, but I think we all know what that's code for.
The PPC lead has been dealing with some personal issues, so this party slid from everyone's notice. Everyone except Phyllis.
I knew the party was today, but nobody asked me to plan it, so I didn't.
More on that later.
I don't trust you, Phyllis.
This starts a brainstorming session about a makeshift party that they could have this day. Hero idea of which is Dwight's Christmas.
Authentic Pennsylvania Dutch Christmas. Drink some Glühwein, enjoy some Hasenpfeffer.
Jim is intrigued with the idea for reasons unexplained other than fun and whimsy.
Whimsy?
So he uses party planning Pan to execute his will, who manifests this speech out of thin air.
We're the party planning committee. And we did not get where we are by playing it safe. We got here by being risk takers. And yeah, Dwight's party is gonna be terrible. Maybe. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to be great. And if it's great, I think we all know what that would mean to us. Let's do it. Yes! Phyllis!
I'm gonna tell Jim to go himself.
This wins the day somehow, and Dwight's Christmas is on. Meanwhile, in the annex, Aaron and Plop plotline develops a little bit with some playful banter about Die Hard.
And when he takes the gun off his back and he's like, yippee-ki-yay, mother...
Actually, he doesn't say that there.
Oh, it's okay, bud. Nope.
Common mistake.
No, it's not. I love banter, but I hate witty banter.
Die Hard is great. Is it a Christmas movie? We're not solving this debate here today, but I would suggest that if you think it's a Christmas movie, you're right. Also, if you think it's not a Christmas movie, you're right.
And thus,
Chris
sealed his own destiny in a good way.
I'm not really a Die Hard fan, but if I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna watch it around Christmas time, so there's that. Plop's able to quote the thing like most Office fans can quote every episode of The Office, and Aaron's a bit intrigued with new Jim's nerdiness.
Nerd!
As the party starts, as is the case for most Christmas episodes of The Office, we get some shenanigans as the drama ramps up, and in this case, it includes food.
I love this hog, mama.
It includes some kitchen antics / romance stuff.
Forget everything you thought you knew about fingerprinting.
So we're watching Die Hard now. Good. This is a good plan.
Okay.
And some tension set up for whatever the big thing that's bound to break this party up.
Jim, that guy.
In this case, Daryl is upset with Jim's departure without ever seeming to have followed up from this conversation.
Sports marketing, or does that sound like something you'd be into?
Hell yeah.
Right?
That sounds awesome.
Daryl positions this in kind of a coy way, when in reality, he should have just been following up all along.
And I'd be happy to give you business classes. How come you haven't asked me about it? Joe gave you a shot, and then you stopped pushing.
It's kind of on par for the character in a way that I'm not sure the writers intended or not. As Dwight's Christmas is in full force, though, Jim's departure is nigh.
Yes, he is finally nigh.
And Pam and Dwight are both having a hard time dealing with it, although Dwight's is a little bit more on the surface. Dwight is, well, I want to say uncharacteristically immature in this episode, but I'm not really sure that's, like, real. But Dwight normally seems out of touch with reality, but not childish.
I have hunted werewolves. I shot one once, but by the time I got to it, it had turned back into my neighbor's dog.
In this episode, he really is childish, and if I'm reading it right, there probably is a good reason for that, so more on that later. So after his goodbye,
Impish!
Jim's departure is in, I guess, the only taxi that exists in Scranton.
Holly's my family now.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dwight rage quits. Rage quits. Rage quits. Rage quits. Dwight rage quits Christmas. It's such a hard sentence to say. But not to worry, Phyllis suspiciously has a backup plan for the whole thing.
Oscar ran to the store for some food and drink, and I dipped into my stash of eggnog. I guess they needed me after all.
An interesting piece of continuity comes up later.
Want me to get you some eggnog?
No thanks. I'll just have another Dumatril.
Dumatril!
And Jim comes back to the office to finish up the party. Now, Jim's motives are never really explored, but my headcanon is that he was perceiving that his presence at the party meant more to Pam and Dwight, more so Dwight, I guess, for some reason, than what they were saying on the surface. Meanwhile, Nellie's at her breaking point with Toby.
But why wouldn't it?
Erin's at her breaking point with Andy.
Gonna hang out here a while. Maybe a couple of weeks. Figure this whole life thing out.
Both of those plot lines then resolve into some in-office PDA. Jim and Dwight split the hip bone or whatever it was,
The pig rib.
giving Phyllis some much-needed comeuppance for her sneaky deeds. I think, if I'm reading this right, and all ends well for everybody involved, with Jim even revealing to a very, very intoxicated Daryl that the guys agreed to bring him in for an interview. This strep, by the way, has to be one of my most rewound moments of The Office. So we have a lot more to get to, like the blackface stuff, Dwight's other traditions, and more. So let's dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Kat.
Dwight Christmas, like many episodes in Season 9, seems to exist both as a standalone message as well as to advance these ongoing plots and themes of the season as a whole. While other seasons of The Office did this sort of thing, it's unique to Season 9 to focus so much on advancing the overarching stories of the season while forsaking the here and now. So like most of these, the surface reading of this episode is fairly simple. The meaning of Christmas, to Dwight and at least most of these people, is that it is time set aside to reflect on the friends and family and be grateful for what you have. It's for that reason that Dwight is so upset when Jim leaves the party. It's for that reason that Daryl is upset that Jim hasn't brought up the new athlete job yet. It's for that reason that Oscar is now Angelo's hype man.
Let's not blame her for something we all forgot.
It's for that reason that Erin is drawn to the warmth of Plop and away from Andy's coldness. Even Nellie is so tired of listening to Toby that the only way to shut him up is to physically connect with him. I also think that Toby maybe missed the boat. This whole Scranton Strangler thing would have made a great true crime podcast. Check out those videos if you want. What I find more interesting to talk about is the dynamic between Jim and Pam in this one, which actually seems to be played from a literary perspective between Jim and Dwight. Jim's calm, cool, casual attitude is the same both to Dwight and Pam. He's leaving tomorrow, starting the new gig, his head's in the clouds, and he's not going to get bogged down with feelings or any other entanglements until the night before.
Restless sleep, nervous puking.
On the other hand, it's shown early in this one that Dwight is speaking for Pam throughout this episode.
Don't wear the blue striped shirt. It makes your neck look like an old mop handle.
So as Dwight reverts to toddler form throughout, Pam keeps a rather stoic approach going, meaning that she's either hiding her feelings from Jim or maybe she's hiding them from herself. And there's all sorts of reasons why humans do this stuff, but the episode itself explores some of the anguish that she's experiencing, through Dwight. Dwight's lows are Pam's lows.
I judge you in, bitch! Ow!
Dwight's highs are Pam's highs.
Oh my god!
What are you doing?
I think we're intended to see this whole thing as yet another point in the story between Jim and Pam and how they are not on the same page. Jim's head is in the clouds and old Pammy isn't speaking her mind.
I'm gonna start telling people what I want directly. And don't call me Pammy.
So, you know, speak your mind in a way that brings peace and growth to your relationships and all that. I like these bowls. I think I'm getting old.
You can't have the bowl!
With that, let's rate this thing.
This is the worst.
No rating for the cold opening because the cold opening doesn't exist.
Nobody asked me to plan it, so I didn't.
Dwight's Christmas establishing more lore of Dwight's background is fantastic. I think that in the past, Dwight's past and heritage has always been used for just a quick joke, and that is the case here. But the vibe in this episode is a bit different, and maybe that was because they were trying to establish the never actually established spinoff.
My brother and I wrote one once.
There's me and my brother, Jeb.
Jeb, my brother. Oh!
But the Democrat with the phone was right, and the gist of Dwight's lore is based on real stuff. Belsnickel, his assistant, and the rest of the Pennsylvania Dutch Christmas has its roots in reality. There's a great Wikipedia page with all sorts of citations on it, and I'm sure there's a history of Belsnickel and all of his, compatriots out there. Krampus is one of them, by the way. Christmas lore is awesome. And then there's this conversation. Netflix dropped blackface sequence from this episode, spurring a giant discussion online and for the last several years about what level of censoring are we as a society and as a fandom okay with, and what are we not okay with?
No, Dwight. No.
It always makes me think of the question, though, not so much like, where is the line, but all more of what else has been removed that we just, as an Office fandom, collectively have forgotten about? Personally, I wouldn't have removed it. The joke was Dwight is already censoring the thing. That's the joke. So it's weird to then censor it. But someone's point in the woke video a few weeks ago was pretty well spoken that removing it actually has a different effect on the episode, and the joke still reads good. So I don't know. Context matters. Go watch that woke video if you care. And that's all I have to say about that one. As for this episode, just flying through different ideas here, seeing Jim excited about Dwight Christmas is always a lot of fun. Watching Pam stand up for her man, it was great. Toby and the Strangler stuff is fantastic. Pete and the Die Hard stuff is great. I do like this moment.
Die Hard. Every line.
I like seeing Aaron have some character development. I do wish this plotline went somewhere satisfying. Daryl Strutt is everything to me. Overall, this is a solid episode that I really enjoy. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 and admit that my ratings don't mean anything anymore.
Admirable.
I am planning on doing a mega video after I finish season 9 in which I do rank every episode of The Office. And I'll probably do more live streams in the meantime to work through that process with myself and with you if you want to join those. Thanks to all the supporters of the channel, which includes our Dundee host, Amber Piercy, Anna, Dark Lasagna, and our Inner Circle members, Avery, Heidi in the Una, Jackie Estes, and Mooch. And thanks to everybody else supporting the channel, and thank you for watching this video. If you want to support the channel, you can head on over to YouTube memberships or Patreon, links in the description. Otherwise, give this video a like and subscribe. Next week, we are looking at lice. The episode, not the bug. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.